fathers will understand.
I told you he was an awesome dad.
What's up, dudes? Welcome back to Dudela. I'm Michael.
I'm John.
And today we're joined by Corey Davis of Soba Golf. Corey, thanks so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into it, tell us a little bit about you being a dad. How many kids you got? Where do you live? Everything going in there.
Sure. I'm a dad of two girls. I have a 21-month-old girl, Lenny, and then I have a 8-month-old Marlo. So the age gap is 13 months. We don't like to say it was an accident because it wasn't. It was a surprise to us, that's for sure. Definitely wasn't an accident because Marlo is just absolutely perfect. We reside in Montclair, New Jersey. It's tough for me to tell people I live in Jersey because I grew up in New York my whole life. So I'm still getting adjusted to that. But a lot of people consider Montclair the Brooklyn of Jersey. So that's pretty cool.
13 months is that's quite the gap.
Almost Irish twins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
How was the transition with having a baby still, like a 1-year-old with having an infant?
Everything's just been really intense, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start, honestly. It's my daughter's been amazing. She's curious about Marlo and she's curious about what we're up to. I don't find her to be competitive necessarily. Sometimes she'll want me to pick her up if I'm holding Marlo, but for the most part, it's not that she doesn't pay attention to her, but she's kind of doing her own thing and minding her business. I think she's more and more curious about her. Our youngest Marlo, is just starting to be able to sit up and just starting to be able to crawl. So I think the older they get, the easier it's going to be to have fun and play together, which is why we're happy we have two girls. Yeah. So that'll be cool. But it's man defense versus zone. That's for sure.
For sure. Yeah. We've got, 5 girls in our group here. We don't have a guy yet. So
no.
we need to have some boy advice, but girl dads are the best dads, is what I'm thinking. So
yeah, I agree.
Oh man. And in the midst of having 2 little ones, you are launching and have launched and are growing Soba Golf. I would love to hear, your high level summary of what that's been like. What is Soba Golf? Who is it for? And how has being in the midst of being a dad of 2 little ones, impacted that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It does feel like a third baby in the mix, as an entrepreneur, and this is my first entry point into being, a business owner, a community leader in this way. It's definitely my baby, and timing is never right for stuff like this, whether
Totally.
It's children or starting a business, and the vision for Soba started really at the end of 2023. I'll just take a step back. So I got sober at 22 years old. And the short version of that story is that I spent 5 years at a 2-year community college. In a lot of ways, that kind of wraps up what you can imagine my life was like. So, my friends left at 18 years old to go to great schools. And, I spent the next 4 years in my parents' basement, basically just doing drugs and drinking for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I finally sort of woke up from that challenge and disease, really, and went to rehab. And thank God, I have not drank or used drugs. In May, it was 15 years. So I'm incredibly grateful.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And so I've never really been public about that part of my story. I've never really worn it too much on my sleeves, but I started playing golf during 2020, like a lot of other people, picked up clubs on eBay, Went from a 30 handicap to a 4 in 4 years, and really happy about the progress that I've made. But what I found more interesting than getting better were the ways in which golf and sobriety sort of paralleled one another.
Yeah.
And I had gotten incredibly invested into the golf world, whether it's content with, the good guys, or Eric Anders Lang with Random Golf Club, or Golfer's Journal, or No Laying Up. Those are huge content creators that I admire. It just felt like there was this opportunity to tell stories in a different way, and in a unique way. And golf has historically been synonymous with a drinking culture. And I'm so happy for people that enjoy the game in that way. There's no judgment. It's just that between my personal life experience and then how I felt transformed because of the game, I just felt like there was a great opportunity to create this community. So that's what Soba is. We're a community of like-minded golfers who are focused on the intersection of wellness in golf, and then more specifically, sobriety in golf. It's been really exciting.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on, 15 years. And that's really awesome that you're building a community for these people. Speaking of community, how, that's one of the things we're trying to really push and build. And we understand how important a community is for a dad. And just when you have kids, you need to have kind of that army around you. And some people aren't lucky enough to live close to family, live close to friends, and they kind of need that. They need that community in other ways. And you've provided that through Soba with kind of your Discord and different things like that. And we've kind of tried to model some of our stuff after yours just because of how well you have done it. From a community standpoint for, being a dad and being a father and a parent, how important is that for you? And do you see that kind of in your community, how important that is for like those guys as well?
Yeah. I think for the Soba community, and I could just speak for myself, I think that the antidote to sort of addiction is community. I really do. I think being around people who are like-minded, who have gone through what you've gone through, for me, it's been essential. And to learn from people who have more time than me, who have walked the path, it's been, without it, I wouldn't be here today. Truly, I think I'd be dead, honestly. And as it relates to being a dad, I love what you guys are doing. I think it is essential because being a dad, being a husband is, especially during this time, is very hard. Yeah. It's really intense, and it could be isolating at times. And I think I'll just share my personal experience and then what I've observed. I think when people feel isolated, it's easy to escape those feelings or want to escape those feelings. And the ways in which I have historically, or I've observed people escape, is through drinking, through using drugs, through gambling, through watching TV, being on your phone, and other sort of activities that people would understand would be distractions, right? Yeah. And those things can help actually in the interim. They actually soothe you for the immediate pain that you might have, but long term they don't really help. And I think if you have friends or a community like you have, where it's like maybe you can relieve that valve a little and tell the guys that you're in a group with, I'm struggling right now. I haven't slept much, haven't been able to connect with my wife or partner often. And I feel isolated. If you have people who can meet you where you are, I think it's essential. So I think what you guys are doing, it's really important work.
What have you found to be like the most or a piece of effective community. I mean, like I can post in a Facebook group or a Discord and say, "Hey guys, I'm struggling." So like, but what does it mean? Like, what happens next? How does it become real and not just, other strangers on the screen out there?
I think creating a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing vulnerably is like the first step, right? So like the way that I think that people understand to do that within the Soba community is because I'm trying to exemplify what that looks like. I'm trying to share my vulnerability. I'm trying to share the challenges I've had. And hopefully that gives people permission to then do that themselves. Right. And, yeah. Does that answer?
Well, and yeah, totally. Well, and as guys, we are not necessarily known for being good at sharing those things in our feelings, right? And I think that's something that
being forthcoming with our feelings.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're learning is hard, but also something that is so important to do, because then you're able to really feel like you're learning something from somebody. But then if someone's truthful, like we've had people on our podcast that have been very open, and it just makes them feel more real, makes us feel more real, and able to kind of open up a little bit more on that front. From building your business, how do you stay present being a dad?
It's a great question. I haven't been feeling as present as I'd like. And it's funny. It's one of those things where I don't know if people would relate to this, but when I'm with my daughters, like yesterday, it's Sunday, we went to the pool, we had a great day, we're home, and I'm like spent, kind of like I'm already worn down, and we still have like 3 or 4 more hours before bedtime.
That last window,
the witching hour.
Exactly. And I found myself being distracted, wanting to like put on the TV for them because it's easier than engaging with them. And once I put my daughter down for bed and I was by myself again, I immediately missed her. And I felt like, man, I wasn't as present as I would have liked to be those 3 hours. Why is it the case that once I put her down, I feel like I miss her? But when I'm with her, I'm not able to be present, So, and I think it just goes back to having a little bit of compassion for myself, because we're going through a lot, we're trying our best. But the other side of me says, you got to push through and you got to be available for my children.
Yeah. And I think we all have felt that way at some point of like, man, back before you had kids, you'd come home from a long day and you'd have, those 3 hours, and it was like, hey, we're just going to watch a show or we're just going to kind of hang, and you don't get to do that. But you do realize, like, when you do put them down, it's like, man, I do miss them. I want to play, or whatever. And staying present is, with all the distractions that you've kind of listed earlier, it is so hard to stay present with all of those things. And I think what you said, we do need to give ourselves a little grace and compassion kind of with that, because, we're never going to be perfect, and we do need a little bit of a break. Like, it's so hard to be on for 12 straight hours or whatever.
Yeah. I also think too, I mean, you got 2 little ones. I have twin baby girls, and I've found they don't necessarily need your 1000% undivided attention on them all the time. I think that, that goes away real quick once you have 2, because you can't, you can't pay attention to them 100% of the time. But just I found like my presence, not staring at my phone, right? Like I'm talking about just being in the room with them, even if I'm prepping a meal or playing with one baby. If I'm just kind of near them, I find them, their demeanor is totally different. Yeah. They're more relaxed. They're more engaged. They are willing to just play. But then the times where I I'm on my phone or I'm thinking too far ahead. I'm trying to plan stuff. That's when they tend to get like antsy and start to like, get a little bit more whiny or whatever. They need more. So I think it's like finding this like interesting balance of how present am I in where I'm actually making eye contact with them, playing, I'm on the ground, I'm rolling around, or I'm actually feeding them a thing. Where do I find the balance between that? And then also, living normal life and still being a person that has to still get the mail and clean dishes. And like it's this like interesting balance. But you guys are hitting on something huge of like, hey, giving yourself some real grace because we're all real people and real life still happens.
Yeah. For the new dads out there that are their wives are pregnant or they have a little one, you've done it twice pretty close together. For those first like 2 or 3 months as you're kind of adjusting into it, what was there a secret that you had? Was there something that you learned on the first one that you were able to take into the second one for kind of the newborn phase that you're like, yeah, everybody should know this? Or just kind of a like, hey, give yourself a little time here, or, anything on that end?
So, something, I think the best advice I got leading into having our first child was something, and we did implement this. We were told that we should take shifts for watching the baby at night. So we would switch off nights on who would be with the baby, and the other would get full rest so that they could be, present during the day. And instead of both of us like having the baby in the same room with us and we're both kind of not getting great sleep, it really worked for us to have like the baby in the guest room. And unfortunately that didn't work the second time because the guest room was taken for the new baby.
Yep.
But that's what we did. And that was really helpful.
Yeah. We did shifts, like we did kind of shifts throughout the night. So I would take the 9 to 12 because my wife, once it hit like 8 p.m., Abigail was
toast.
Yeah. She just like couldn't keep her eyes open. But so I would take the 9 to midnight shift. Then she would take the like 12 to 6 shift, which was like, if you're trying to do that every 3 hours thing, there's that one feeding at 3. Oh. And then I would take the 6 o'clock or if she woke up early would take her there. So you'd each get like your own kind of chunk of sleep. Because like you're saying, like you can't both be toast the entire day. You got to have, a little bit of gas in the tank.
Yeah. And there's that other element too of like, well, they're also, providing food.
Yes. That is also a hard part.
There's the element of like, well, you kind of got to get up, honey, and pump. Yeah. I'll feed her, but you got to find, that kind of. So yeah, we did the shifts thing too. I did the early morning shift. My goal is to try to get like 4 or 5 hours. So I was like, whatever, 10 to 3 a.m. And then you could hear the little cry.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite part of being a dad?
All of it is just so unique and special, my daughter now, she's talking really well. She's running around a lot. She's exploring things. She's learning things. Just that evolution of watching her grow and learn has been really cool. Yesterday, she had overheard me say Corey Davis, like on the phone or something. So now she's saying Corey Davis, which is funny. And I'm like, listen, I'm dad to you. Okay. But that's been really cute. And yeah, my youngest daughter is amazing. All she wants to do is like make eye contact with you and smile. Like she's very pleasant and happy. And, so yeah, and it's cool to see like the different personalities come out between the two of them. And and I think another thing to mention is like when you become a dad, you also get to witness your wife become a mother. And that's a really special thing. Yesterday when I was feeling a little toasted, I guess my wife had a second wind and she just sweetly like went into the playpen with my daughter and was like, showing her some like, I don't know, cards that have different animals on them and sort of testing her a little. And, I could just see the scene. I was just like watching the scene. It was just such a beautiful moment to see my wife kind of be a mother and have so much patience and sweetness with her. And I'm super grateful for my wife too.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
It is crazy how much of a team effort parenting is.
Ideally.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Ideally. Yeah. And how much smoother it does go when you guys do work as a team. And, I've learned communication is, you think you have the adequate level of communication, but then triple it and then you're getting closer to it, and just over communicate everything, especially with schedules. And, my wife goes back to work tomorrow actually. And so all of a sudden we're back to daycare 5 days a week and what we have after work, and making sure that we don't overcommit to things. So we're not absolutely zonked come, the weekend, and we still have a little bit of gas in the tank. And, but also just making sure that we're both on the same page for different things. And, what have you and your wife learned, to keep your relationship strong, whether it's, date nights, whether it's, communication, kind of different shifts, or what have you guys seen?
Yeah, that's something we're exploring together because it's very hard. And I feel really grateful in the sense that, we have this saying, we burnt the ships. So like there's no going anywhere. We're on this island together. There's nowhere to go. And I think when you do that, it's a lot easier to know that like you have to battle through this and you have to work through it. So knowing that is really helpful. But we made this joke the other day. We were just saying, I guess this is just how we talk to each other now, and, and I don't mean that in sort of a negative way either, like the stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah.
The sort of, the intensity is there. And I think, again, going back to grace for each other, for yourselves, like it makes it a lot easier. But I've been disappointed with her with some things lately, and I'm sure, she's been disappointed with me, and it has been around communication, and it has been around sort of this getting the support that one another need from each other. So, that's stuff that we are actively working on. And I don't think it's, anything that's negative. It's just a part of being now a parent and a husband or a wife.
Yeah, no kidding. You've used that word a couple of times. I would love to just hear a little bit more. You've said like, yeah, it's been kind of intense. So what do you do when things feel intense and they feel overwhelming as a husband and a dad all at the same time? Like, what do you do with that?
I love playing golf. So that helps with, relieving some of that tension. That definitely feels like, and maybe what I'm leaning towards is having a hobby, right?
Yeah.
And taking care of yourself and having a space for your own mental reprieve is really important. But in an ideal world, I'm not snapping or being sort of short, which is something that I wouldn't say I snap, but I can definitely be short or sarcastic. And those are things that aren't nice to do, and we're all, not immune to that stuff. So I don't hold myself to like this, unrealistic standard, but I also want to be kind and sweet to my wife, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. The sarcasm piece, I definitely have been guilty of a couple different times.
It like slips out and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. And then they shoot you the look and it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't need to say
the
that.
I'm sorry has to come real quick.
Yes. Very, very fast.
Totally.
But I mean, I think what we're, it's fun, but there's also a lot of challenges and like, it's not perfect. And I think a lot of people, especially on social media, make it look like it's easy and you just like everybody's on the same page, and you're not. And it's okay to not be on the same page, but it's how you're able to communicate with your wife, your partner, with that, and get back on the same page quick enough to get everything back on track.
Well, and your kids too, as they grow, right? Like I know that I've got the same tendency, right? Where a quick little word or a sarcastic comment may be too much. I feel like I'm going to do the same thing to my girls, and as much as I want to be sweet and kind and gentle all the time, I'm not always that man. And so it's like, okay, I need to learn to not only just communicate with Viv and be on the same page with her, but also with my daughters, and as they grow, and being sure that I'm like watching what am I teaching them, and how I talk to people and how I talk to their mom.
Yeah. I love that. And Michael, you had just said something leading into what you were saying too, which is it's okay to fight. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to maybe be sharp with the children, but how can we close the gap of finding center again as quickly as possible? And I think that is what my wife and I are working on, and for the kids too, if I fell short, how can we repair as quickly as possible?
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be ever changing, right? Like in this season, you guys have two kids under 2. In 4 years, you're going to have, other practices. You're going to have school stuff. You're going to have like a bunch of other, it's going to be a totally different space. And so it's ever changing too, is the hard part of this. You never figure it out, because then here comes the curveball. And, my daughter she's just now starting to kind of crawl a little bit. So when we figured out like, hey, you can sit up on your own, I can put you here, you're going to be okay. And we were up in Steamboat the other day, and we put her on the bed while we're setting up her pack and play. And I look over, and she is right on the edge of the bed. And I'm like, no.
Oh, no.
And I run over, boom. And then you wait for like 3 seconds, and then you hear the scream. And
like long inhale.
And it's like, oh crap. And you go over and make sure everything's okay. But like, now she's moving, and we can't just leave her on the bed. So, so it is ever changing, which is I think one of the hardest parts of parenting, but it's also the best thing of parenting is if you don't figure something out, like one of the stages, guess what? It's not going to last that long. There's going to be something else around the corner that you get to do a better job of or something.
Pretty fun adventure, honestly. The fact that, it's not the same every day. It is very different every single day.
Exactly.
Well, and I think what you guys are going to do a great job of is like, not only are you hosting and holding a space for people to kind of explore this, and that is the goal, right? Like if you are trying and you're exploring and you're wanting to be a good dad, you will be, right?
Yep.
Because that's your mindset and your goal.
Yep.
So I think at the end of the day, with you guys and then the community you're breeding, people will be attracted to that, and they'll want to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah. And like you said, trying, right? I mean, just like you went from a 30 handicap to a 4, for those who don't know, much of golf, like
is that a hard thing to do?
Yes, it's super impressive, but you have to try, you have to put in the effort, right? But like, you're going to figure it out along the way, and you're going to learn a lot of lessons. And it's the same with being a dad. Like, you just have to try, look a couple things up. Like if your hobby is golf or, baseball or another sport, or, video games or whatever your hobby is, like, you're going to look into it, right? You're going to like research some things. You're going to buy some things to make it easier. You follow people that will be able to help you with that. And if you are doing that as a dad, like, you're going to be a good dad.
It is such a fun moment when like I'm hanging out with Viv and we're preparing for a thing, and I just drop a fact or I actually read this, or I saw a TikTok that said this, and she looks at me like, yeah, all right. And even if it's literally not saving us 5 seconds of effort or whatever, she's just like, you tried. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
It's sad that that's, necessarily the bar, but like, I think it just gets better and better and better. You get more and more excited about it. You want to learn more. There's more resources. You start YouTubing all the deep dives. Right?
Well, you learn from the people around you, right? Like we're learning stuff from you. There's people who have done this before, who have blazed the trail for us. So like, let's learn what worked for them and what didn't, and take that.
Yeah. And I think, historically there's been this trope around, dads, and that dads are kind of useless, or they're not, available for their children, or, and I think breaking that stigma is really important. Like, the other day, my wife was kind of joking with her family that like 100% of the time, when I ask where something is in the fridge, like it's right in front of me and I can't find it. And listen, it probably is true, but, just walking away from some of this stuff, like guys had mentioned about, guys don't really talk about their feelings, and that's going to be really important. And I think that's why what you guys are doing is really necessary, because, it gives others permission to talk and find support and help their friends, during a tough time. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a beautiful time too. I think that's something that's really important too. Two things can be true at the same time, right? It could be really, really hard, and it could be really, really beautiful. Like that's something that's important for me to think about.
That's so well said. Like, so true. It can be the hardest time, but also the best time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I look back on the first 2 months when we had to, you're waking your kid up every 3 hours, and that alarm goes off at 2:00 in the morning, and you're like, you kidding me? Like, this is the last thing I want to do. But then you wake them up, and they look at you, and it's like, well, this is kind of the coolest.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Corey, what lessons have you learned from golf that you've taken into fatherhood, being a dad?
Yeah. Patience is really important during golf, right? So, not, forcing the issue, if you're trying to score, or you're trying to, you're out of position and you want to hit a hero shot, maybe just laying back and getting back in position, things like that, are important with family life and with children, right? Maybe I'm feeling frustrated internally and I want to be sharp or sarcastic, taking that moment and that pause to, recenter and connect with myself and breath, that's going to be really good for me. It's going to be good for the family. So patience is definitely one that comes to mind. In order to get good at golf, there's just so many traits, but humility, right? And grit, right? And determination, all these sort of things that, when you're trying to figure out how to swaddle for the first time, it's going to be good to, continue to work on that so that you get the right fit.
Yeah. Well, like changing a diaper, when you like change a diaper really quick and really well, you're like,
feels good.
Yeah. I got this thing figured out, man. And then the next one, they shoot poop all over the place. And you're like, okay, I don't have it figured out.
Now I've got one twin trying to rip the poopy diaper off and play with it from the other one. So it's a whole mess right now.
It's exciting. Yeah. Two is different. All right. Well, before we go, I think we've got some rapid fire, just kind of dad questions definitely. For you.
Sure.
That just are a little more fun and, say the first thing that comes to your mind, right? That's the rules, John?
Yep, exactly. Sure. Nothing too scheduled here. So, all right, Corey. What is something that you thought you'd care about as a dad, but you just don't?
I'm not very handy, so I don't really care to be handy. I'll hire somebody to do it.
Fair enough. Corey, what is your favorite golf hole that you've ever played?
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's a hard one. What if we go course?
Well, I went to Bandon last year, and Pacific Dunes on 14, I think it is, right by the water. I actually birdied that hole, which was awesome.
There we go.
So that probably is one of the most special holes to me.
That hole, if you haven't seen it, go look it up. It is stellar. Right along the coast. I mean, it is the definition of golf.
Yeah. My dad's probably like, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
Cool. What is something that you didn't expect to matter, but really does?
Yeah, I heard someone say the other day, isn't doing nothing great? And I was just like, that matters to me. Like, I wish I could just do nothing for like, a couple hours, like I come home and they're screaming and it's always something to be done, whether it's with Soba or family. So, doing nothing is amazing. If you don't have a kid yet, you're listening to this episode and you're about to, just like do nothing for a day and really soak that in.
Really soak it in.
I love it.
I remember that.
Yes. Yeah. You feel like you were busy before and then you look back on it. It's like I would come home at 5:00 from work and be like, oh man, had a busy day. And then you just like make dinner and go on a walk and you come home and throw like on an episode and it's like, yeah, that was a pretty busy night. It's like, nah, like now if you get like 2 of those things, you like have the best night ever. If
Honestly,
you're able to
just eat a meal.
Yeah. If you're able to cook, like way to go.
Yeah. That's why I got so good at golf from 2020 till 2023 in October. I didn't have kids, just played, just worked on the craft.
Yep, exactly. All right. One last thing that we ask everybody. What's your favorite dad gadget or like piece of, something that every dad should have?
I'm not a handy guy, so I'm not a gadget guy. Let me think. Well, the pre-made like swaddles. Like I don't do that. Like don't try to be a hero and swaddle with like a blanket. Like get the ones that like you just plop them in. Do you guys have those? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I had the blankets from the NICU and we just used the same blankets. So I guess I was trying too hard.
Hero guy over here. No, I know what you're talking about. We had the easy one. Ours was literally
He's
just
like, you're giving me a blank.
I put them in and it was literal Velcro and you just like wrap
great.
done.
Yeah.
I think it was the Ollie or the Ollie. Yes.
Yeah. Tell your guests or your listeners about that because that is so easy.
Okay. Well, and you're able to get it super tight, like without the Ollie swaddle was big time.
I do remember having to like really
and most importantly, thing that we've learned recently, and it goes back to this, have 2 of them, 2 sleep sacks, 2 swaddles, because they're going to get one of them dirty and then you have to put them in for a nap. So you have to be able to clean them at some point.
Yeah.
We got like so many of them.
Yeah.
I would also say, we were of the theory, we like to sleep it out, like cry it out. Yeah. So I don't know where you guys are at with that stuff like that, but we have 2 amazing sleepers and maybe it's just genetics or who they are. They've always slept really well. They both are great eaters. So those are, good things, but I would just say, there's a different type of cry for like, I really want you and I'm complaining versus I need help. I'm desperate. And you need to kind of listen for those. But like the first one, you can let them cry until it gets to the second one. And most of the time I would say that they went to sleep, like they found themselves sleeping. You have to build up tolerance because it's really hard to listen to. Not just from a decibel perspective, but like emotionally.
And it's a man thing too. Like I read they tested out as a torture technique to play babies crying to men, and men broke real quick. They played the same torture technique to women and they could handle it. They could deal with it. I'm like, my threshold is not very high.
I'm a big earplugs guy. I always have, even before my kids, I sleep with earplugs and something, I sleep like a baby. I'm a great sleeper.
There we go. Earplugs. Maybe I'm already a heavy sleeper. Some of the monitors on my wife's side, because if she wakes up in the middle of the night, like there's a pretty good chance I will not hear her unless I get a.
You got an elbow to the back. Yeah.
Yeah. I get a forearm straight to the chest, and I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Corey, thanks so much for joining us. We, we love keeping up with you and kind of what Soba's doing, and love seeing you guys grow. It's great what you're doing. And we're excited to have you on, and thanks for giving us some advice as a dad, and just very open about it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I think what you guys are doing is really cool. I haven't seen anything like this in the space, and it's definitely needed. So I think you guys are doing great work.
Love it. Well, Corey, last thing, where can we find you online and on social?
Yeah. So social is Soba Golf Co, SOBA Golf Co, for TikTok, Instagram, and stuff. Our website is soba.golf, www.soba.golf. .golf is really cool right now.
Honestly,
that's
sweet.
Wow.
Not a lot of people know, but I think I started the trend, frankly, because a lot of people are trying to do it now. I've actually
Dudela.golf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually scooped up a ton of website domains with the .golf just to have,
Yep. Smart.
Just have them in your back pocket.
Smart businessman there.
Exactly.
You see a trend, you hear to hear first.
That's right.
Exactly. But yeah, thanks for asking. And we'll both stay in touch with each other for sure.
Yeah.
Love it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Corey. And have fun with those kiddos.
Thank you. You too.
Daddy out! Dad!
It's a lot of lights, Dad.
You fathers will understand.
I told you he was an awesome dad.